Good afternoon, everyone. This is Hector C. from Hector C. Speaks. My topic of discussion today is cognitive distortion, also known as distorted thinking. What is cognitive distortions? They are biased thoughts that create negative patterns in the way we think. They can be a response to depression and anxiety. Distorted thinking also leads people to live unfulfilled and unproductive lives. They suffer from anxiety and depression and other mental health issues. I speak of this from personal experience. I led an unhealthy life for 42 years. I was always seeking validation and acceptance from others. I struggled with my own depression, anxiety, and PTSD. As a survivor of sexual abuse, my distorted thinking and my worldviews led me to a life of drugs and alcohol. I endured trauma, losing my mother at the age of 17 to cancer. I was left with choices at the right old age of 17. What did I really know about the world? My worldview was very narrow, being born and raised in Yonkers in the Bronx. I never really grieved my mother's death properly. At the age of 18, I made a decision to enlist in the United States Marine Corps. I left unresolved issues, though. I suppressed everything just to get out of the life that I was living in New York. I had friends that were drug dealers. A week before my mother died, my brother was shot 2 times. My father was in my life, and I'm so grateful for him. But at the same time, we had a lot of conflict, not because of what he did, but because of the animosity and the anger and bitterness that I had in my heart. My father is a great man. I'm still blessed to have him in my life today, and we have an amazing relationship. But my distorted thinking almost cost me that. It cost me my first marriage. It cost me a lot of grief, a lot of resentment. But with everything comes healing. When I joined the United States Marine Corps in 1986, I was right out of high school, 18 years old. I was an amateur fighter. One of the things that I loved about boxing was the fact that I had control of everything in that ring, unless the opponent was better than me, and which that happened quite a few times. You know, none of us are perfect, and we always strive to be the best. But our past usually comes back to haunt us when we let it affect our present. And because we have unresolved issues, this is where distorted thinking comes into play and plays a significant impact in your life. I was assigned, when I graduated boot camp, I was assigned to the School of Marine Combat Training, School of Infantry in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for 5 years. I met some of the greatest men in my life, people that walk from all walks of life. I met a guy from West Virginia who never met a Puerto Rican until he met me. I met people with accents that I was like, where are they from? They're from the country. And yet they made fun of my accent. I never even knew I had one. But they said, you got that New York slang. And it still follows me to this very day, 50-something years later. The one thing I can honestly tell you is that living a life of no treatment and distorted thinking led me to a life of destruction. You know, I've had prior suicide attempts. Like I said, I indulged in drugs and alcohol after I got out of the Marine Corps. But during my Marine Corps time, like I said, I met some of the greatest men I've ever met in my life, and we still keep in contact to this very day. We stay connected because we need each other. We know what our struggles are. And my phone never goes off. It's always on in case they need me at any hour. One of the times that I can honestly tell you that affected me the most is when I came back from Desert Shield and Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. We came back, we were just discharged honorably. They let 30,000 Marines go in less than 30 days for defense cutbacks. And they gave us no plan, no warning. They just let us go. That really impacted, because I had a wife, 2 children already, and the third one on the way. I didn't know what I was going to do when I got discharged. You know, but some way, somehow, I survived. I became a functioning, dysfunctional person. I would work hard Monday through Friday, and Friday and Saturday nights I was an alcohol warrior and drug warrior. My distorted views led me to many things. I was always blaming other people, labeling myself, mind reading, all these things that impacted and hindered my life. It hindered my relationships, but I wasn't angry at them. I was really angry at myself for not taking ownership and responsibility. I know that in my lifetime, I've struggled with many things. And in losing myself in this world, it led me to my purpose. And my job now, I work in 2 emergency rooms in New Jersey as a mental health screener in emergency rooms. And I love my job. I see people coming in that remind me of me. And you know what? I can meet them right there at the front line. Not in the front line, but in the emergency room. I've helped people prevent suicide attempts. I've had people where, as they speak, I feel like they read my story, and I haven't written a book yet. We're not too far off, people. Mental illness doesn't discriminate against age, color, gender, religious affiliation, nothing. It affects us all. And if we choose to turn a blind eye to anybody that's in need, that's a shame on society. I will give you an example. When I was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps, I went undiagnosed for 19 years. I was finally diagnosed in 2010 with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Mind you, on May 15, 2010, I was on a bridge ready to commit suicide. My life was over. I thought it was. But God had other plans. I started going to the VA. I started seeking treatment. I started to identify these distorted thinking, and I started to study them. I went into the VA hospital on July 11, 2019. It was refreshing to see that I wasn't the only one going through this. There were other veterans there that were going through the same thing, so I knew I wasn't alone. And it was very much needed. You know, I'll tell you, the first day there, they embraced me. They loved me. They didn't judge me. I wasn't called names like, oh, you're bipolar and all these other things that people do. These stigmas that follow people with mental illness, that's horrible, horrible. And we shouldn't label anybody that's struggling with it. I tell you what, me being hospitalized and losing myself was the greatest thing to ever happen to me. Because in losing myself, I discovered my purpose. And my purpose is to enlighten people, to educate people, to inspire, to let them know that they have hope, right? Because if God did it for me, he'll do it for you. And I'm here to share with you the truth. The truth is, we're not always going to get it right. We're not always going to win every battle, but we will win the war of the rage within. I started to learn about distorted thinking, about the mind reading, anticipating, setting expectations that were never met. But at the same time, also learn forgiveness, forgiving myself and forgiving others, even forgiving those that never even apologized. Those were the greatest things that I can achieve. It's just a peace that supersedes all understanding that's upon my life today. You know, I lost my first wife to a divorce. My 3 kids, our relationship has been restored. Me and my ex-wife are pretty good friends. Her and my wife, I got remarried, and her and my wife actually talk, and they engage, and I love it, because I never would have thought that a million years ago, or 1,000 years ago, not even last year, but it happens. People, if you're struggling with your mental health, please seek help. You know, you can contact me at Hector C. Speaks. I will give you insight. I will give you resources. I will help you in your time of need. One thing the Marine Corps taught me is never leave a Marine behind. I'm a human being. I will always be a Marine, but I will never leave a human being behind. If you're struggling with your mental health, please seek treatment, seek help. You can overcome this depression and anxiety. Trust me, I'm living proof. If God took somebody like me who was an atheist for 42 years and to use him for great things, he will definitely use you too. I'm going to close out with this. You know, sometimes people change for the better. Don't give up hope on people that are struggling right now. You might have to set some boundaries because, you know, sometimes I don't agree with the tough love is needed. Compassion and empathy and grace is what's needed. Forgiveness is needed. Nobody will beat themselves up more than the person who hurt you. Nobody beat me up more than I beat up myself. But learning to forgive myself, that's the greatest gift of all from Christ. And I am so grateful. You know, changing the way we live, changing the way we think, it's always a great thing. But to see the impact that others make in your life, my amazing wife and my kids, and we have 6 kids combined, and we've extended and blended our family, and it's beautiful. And in closing, in conclusion, I want you to do the research. If you feel your mind is always racing, and your mind reading, thinking, you're jumping to conclusions, do research on it. It's there for you to look at. And that also gives you examples on how to defy it and reverse it. All you have to do is apply for it. Don't forget, it's not hard. It's just new. In closing, I'm going to close off with these two quotes, 2 scriptures that I'd apply to my life, and I use them every day. Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. I'm so grateful for my wife and my family. They're my support, my backbone. My wife is my encourager, my supporter, my biggest advocate. And the second one is 1 Corinthians 13:11. And it says, when I was a child, I thought as a child. I talked as a child. I reasoned as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. I want to thank you for giving me your time and lending me your ear. And just don't forget, Hector C. speaks, and my truth will be heard. Thank you.